Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttaparakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanditanscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvya Evacha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. May I suggest we open more windows, if it's possible, or are they? I can't tell if they're open. I think we will want some air. Breathing is sometimes recommended in the practice of yoga, and we are practicing bhakti yoga. Are they open? Or do we need some ventilator to get the air moving? It feels like the air is on strike. Do we have some machine we could use to get some circulation? Otherwise, I fear that I will be speaking and we will see a bunch of devotees like this. Good. So, very nice to see all of you. I'm amazed. Some of you are coming from way far away, all the way from Rijeka, and even further away. What is the island? Krk, right? Tana is on Krk Island. And from Ljubljana, and from Maribor, yes. Koprivnica, Bjelovar. Wow, that's pretty amazing. I'm coming from Velika Gorica. Wow, Swami, you're here. Hare Krishna. What a happy surprise. Do we have a chair for Chandramauli Swami Maharaj? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Maybe on the ladies' side or on the gents' side? I don't know. Or we can slide all of us this way. I don't know. All right. Here comes a fan. I didn't know you were in town.
I'm not.
Oh, just.
I'm in the temple. The fan near you or towards the devotees?
I don't know. No, not directly to me. I think. Yeah, maybe something like that. And try. Yeah, I think you can turn it more this way. Yeah? Yeah, like that. Now you get it right in your face. Sorry. Further back. Yeah. The fan club. Good. So let us begin. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today, I thought we could read from Bhagavad Gita, beginning with Arjuna's question in chapter 2. His question toward the end of chapter 2, in which he's asking Krishna to identify some characteristics of an advanced yogi. Mm-hmm. So, okay, we have it visible, we could chant together, why not? And also, is there an English Bhagavad Gita? I might have use for it. Okay. Arjuna Uvacha Stita Pragyasya Kabasha Stita Pragyasya Kabasha Samadhi Stasya Keshava Samadhi Stasya Keshava Stita di King Prabhasheta Stita di King Prabhasheta Kim Asita Brajeta Kim Kim Asita Brajeta Kim You can lead the chanting. Yeah. 54.
54.
Yeah.
Is there another microphone? Get another microphone. Arjuna Uvacha Stita Pragyasya Kambasya Samadhi Stasya Kesava
Stitadi kim prabhaseta. Kim asita vrajeta kim.
Good. Anyone else?
Arjuna Vacha Stita Pragyasya Kabasha Samadhistasya Keshava Stita Dikim Prabhasheta Kimasita Vrajeta Kim
Ladies?
Arjuna Vacha Stita Pragyasya Kabasham Samadhistasya Keshava Stita Dikim Prabhasheta Kimasita Vrajeta Kim.
One more lady, then we have equal. No, anyway, one more lady.
Arjuna Uvacha Stita Pragyasya Kabasha Samadhistasya Keshava Stita Dikim Prabhasheta
Wow, Tana really belts it out, doesn't she? Nice. Okay, what's all this mean? Arjuna Uvacha. Arjuna said. Arjuna Reka. Stita Pragyasya. Of one who is situated in fixed Krishna consciousness. Ka. What? Bhasha. Language. Samadhistasya. Of one situated in trance. Keshava. O Krishna. Stitadi. One fixed in Krishna consciousness. Kim. What? Prabhasheta. Speaks. Kim. How? Asita. Does remain still. Vrajeta. Walks. Kim. How? Lots of how and what questions here. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: Arjuna said, O Krishna, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence? How does he speak? What is his language? How does he sit? And how does he walk? Purport: as there are symptoms for each and every man in terms of his particular situation, similarly, one who is Krishna conscious has his particular nature, talking, walking, thinking, feeling, etc. As a rich man has his symptoms by which he is known as a rich man, as a diseased man has his symptoms by which he is known as diseased, or as a learned man has his symptoms, so a man in transcendental consciousness of Krishna has specific symptoms in various dealings. One can know his specific symptoms from the Bhagavad Gita. Most important is how the man in Krishna consciousness speaks. Confirmed. For speech, he was saying, oh, Oh, I better watch my speech. For speech is the most important quality of any man. It is said that a fool is undiscovered as long as he does not speak, and certainly a well-dressed fool cannot be identified unless he speaks. But as soon as he speaks, he reveals himself at once. The immediate symptom of a Krishna conscious man is that he speaks only of Krishna and of matters related to him. Other symptoms then automatically follow as stated below. And then follows several verses of Krishna's answer to this question. It can be said that the rest of this chapter is an answer to this question. And so I thought it's a nice topic for us to consider today. And I thought we can start with Arjuna's question. Arjuna, as most of you know, many of you know, Arjuna is hearing from Krishna about, we might want to say today about spiritual life. Material life is what most people most of the time hear about. And spiritual life is what we hear about in a Krishna temple. And Srila Prabhupada will often use this phrase, Krishna consciousness, to sort of comprehend the whole idea of spiritual life. And he will make a contrast between spiritual and material. And we can say a lot of what we try to understand in this culture of spiritual life is how to identify or how to distinguish between the two, between material life and spiritual life. We discriminate. We make distinctions. What's the word for distinction in Hrvatsky?
Razlika.
Razlika. Yeah. Huh? Razlika. Sounds like a good, powerful word. Razlika. Distinction between spiritual and material. Razlika.
Između.
I knew we'd get a spanner in the works. Okay, so, let's look a little at this particular verse of the questions, because he's asking several questions here, and as Prabhupada emphasizes, the main issue is speech, which is expressed in two ways. We have the word bhasha, which can mean language. Many of you have heard of Braja Bhasha. Yes. There's also Hrvatsky Bhasha and English Bhasha. Angrezi. In Hindi, the word for English is Angrezi. So if you go to Vrindavan, you'll hear locals referring to Krishna Balaram Mandir as Angrezi Mandir, the English temple. Angrezi Mandir, yeah. There's Bhasha, but there's also Prabhasheta. Now, here I want to give you a little Sanskrit lesson. Hope you don't mind. But I find it interesting, and I hope you will find it also interesting. But if not, what to do. This is a word in a particular form of verb. What is the Croatian for verb?
Glagol.
Glago? Glago.
Glagol.
Glagole. Woo! Now, probably because I think you have a quite highly inflected language, which is also, Sanskrit is a highly inflected language. So, how would you say in Hrvatsky, you want to tell someone in Hrvatsky, not in Bengali, you want to tell them Hari Bolo. What does Hari Bolo mean in Bengali?
Yavai, Hari.
Pievai.
Yavai.
Pievai. Okay, you get that I, right? That's the imperative. That's the imperative, isn't it? Pievai. Pievai Hari. Huh? Pievai. Pievai. Pievai Hari.
We should start that immediately. We should begin that immediately.
We should institute it.
Yeah.
We should make a rule. Oh, no, sorry. Okay. So that's a particular form of, what was it again? The glagola. Glagola. Which is telling someone, do it, right? Just do it. There's no question. It's imperative, we say. Okay, now in Sanskrit, we have something which is something like the imperative, but it's not. It's called in English the optative. And the optative, it's quite interesting because it has quite several different shades of meaning. One of them can be practically an imperative, and Srila Prabhupada will refer to this. Tat vijnanartum sagarun eva vigachet. You must, he says, take shelter of Guru if you want to understand transcendental knowledge. Yes, eva abhigachet, that's here the optative of you must go. But this form has a variety of other possibilities. It can also be an invitation. It can be an invitation. Wouldn't you like to take shelter of a guru because you want to you want to gain spiritual knowledge? So if you want to gain spiritual knowledge, then it's a pretty good idea because actually it's the only way you're going to get. So it's kind of being persuasive at the same time. There's another type of vidhi-lin. This is, the technical term in Sanskrit for this type of verb is vidhi-lin. The word vidhi, from which we get the word vaidhi. You've heard of vaidhi bhakti, many of you. Vaidhi bhakti, vaidhi sadhana bhakti. That word vaidhi comes from vidhi, and vidhi is it's following rules. But the rules are not in the command form. They're not saying Hari Bolo. They're saying, if you want to get this result, then chant the holy name. Okay? There's other shades of meaning to this vidhi-lin. One is if you are calling someone, you want someone to come to you. You know, in India, you make this gesture. Rule number 1, this is a vidhi. If you're going to do this, do it only with your right hand. Don't do it with your left hand. It would be considered an insult. So with your right hand, you go like this. Please come. And if you're not in India, you're in Croatia and you do this, someone will say, "Whoa, what is he doing? Is he telling me to sit down or what? Goodbye. Go away." No, it's come here. So this is the nimantrana form of the vidhi-lin. There's also, as I mentioned, the invitation, which is an amantrana sort of vidhi-lin. And there's also a respectful command. Someone it's our superior, but we would like the superior to kindly sit down. So please sit down. So that would be a form called the adishta. And then there's what is called samprashna vidhi-lin, which is a deliberation. A deliberation is a consideration. How might it be the case? And I believe that this is how prabhashita is being used here. How might be the speaking of the person who is stita prajna, who is samadhista, and who is stita di. He's giving 3 different descriptions for the person that he wants to know about. And finally, there's prarthana. Prarthana is a request. Kindly, could you do this? It's an invitation of sorts, but it's a bit stronger. So there's a lot of subtlety in the Sanskrit language. My only point being that here, this prabhashita and also vrajeta, and I believe asita, these are all in this vidhi-lin form, and they're, making a kind of request deliberation, if you like. Okay, we survived. Oh, question.
How do you know when it is used like this or like that?
This is a good question. Yeah, because you might get into trouble if you're interpreting in the wrong way. It's a matter, mainly a matter of context. You'll know by the context how strongly it's being used. And it could be used with more than one sense. As I said, they kind of overlap. But I think it's also a matter of, it's as we speak, it's a matter of our tone also, isn't it? If I say, Hari Bolo, it's different from if I say, Hari Bolo, right? There's difference in speech also, and the whole Puranic literature is spoken. It's spoken language, and we sort of forget that because we get it all in, sort of printed form. Okay, good. Let's move on to the next verse, shall we? Would you like to say something about the next verse? Because it's the beginning of the answer to Arjuna's question. Maharaj. Prajahati yada kaman sarva. It's a man who gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification. So, do we have the second verse up there? Yes, Shri Bhagavan Vacha.
I have a question.
Oh, you have a question.
Might be a little bit off this subject.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna begins to respond to Arjuna's question. Verses 55 to the end of the chapter. Should we do the Sanskrit?
They have the Sanskrit here, if you'd like to.
We can do it
Briefly.
line by line.
Yeah, if you like.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Rajahati Yada Kamam
Rajavati Yada Kamam
Sarvam Partha Manogatam
Sarvam Partha Manogatam
Mayevatmana Tushta
Atmanyevatmana Tushta
Sthita Pragyas Tadochyate.
Stila Pragyas Tadochyate.
I'll just read the translation. Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O Partha, son of Krita, when a man gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification, which arise from mental concoction, and when his mind, thus purified, finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. Say something?
Please.
Something. So Krishna begins by giving pretty much a general categorical explanation of Arjuna's question, and then he'll, in the following verses, he'll break it down and get into more specifics. When a man gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification, sense gratification means to satisfy the senses separately in order to enjoy the objects of the senses, using the mind in order to focus on the objects of the senses for some type of gratification, or some type of sensual fulfillment. And there are, as it says here, varieties, so many varieties of sense gratification. The objects of the senses, of the mind, as unlimited, just like when Yudhishthira Maharaj was asked by the Yaksha, that's when the Pandavas were in exile. This is it was a long pastime, but towards the end of the pastime, Yudhishthira is visited by his father, Dharmaraj, in the form of a Yaksha. And he's asking Yudhishthira questions, and it's described in the Mahabharata. There's about 50 questions. Of course, the question that we understand from this dialogue mostly is, what is the most amazing thing? What is the most amazing thing that everyone is seeing? Their friends, relatives, people in general dying, and they think, it's not going to happen to me. That was the topper of all of the questions. One of the questions that wasn't mentioned in the general, but is mentioned in the Mahabharata, where what is more numerous than the blades of grass in creation? And so Yudhishthira, he is fully acknowledged, so immediately he responded correctly. He said, the thoughts in the minds of men. The thoughts in the minds of men, which are more numerous than the in other words, they're unlimited. So we hear when Krishna is saying varieties of sense gratification, we might use the word unlimited. Of course, nothing in the material world is unlimited, but in order for something to be categorized as large numbers or numerous, sometimes that word is used. So many varieties of sense gratification. Having given up all of these varieties, and mental concoction is the source of how these things derive, see? There's always new and newer ways that people think of how to enjoy the senses. It's called
Newer ways.
progress in modern civilization. How to flip out in so many different ways.
Flip out. What would be the Croatian for flip out? Go mad.
Means turn upside down in a mental way. That's what it means. Huh? Parodi? Parodi, yeah.
Poludi.
Parodi.
Poludio. Poludio.
Okay, sounds like it's got some shakti in it.
Huh?
So, and when that happens, no more varieties of sense gratification due to unlimited ways to think of how to enjoy the senses. The mind gives all of these up, and it finds, Krishna says, satisfaction in the self alone. And that is, in other words, one finds satisfaction in the fact that I have nothing to do with this material energy. I'm a spiritual being. I am part and parcel of the Supreme Absolute Truth. And I perform various types of meditations and prayers based on my existence free from everything material. In other words, then I become satisfied. In other words, that satisfaction is actually intrinsic, to use a word, that is natural to the soul's existence. A person on that platform is satisfied, happy. And then Krishna says, this is the first symptom, or this is the complete definition, at least Krishna begins, what is transcendental consciousness, or consciousness that is no longer connected with the flickering mind and the senses in connection with the modes of materialization, which are unlimited. So many varieties of activities, each in the three modes. So that's the first. So it requires, of course, much more explanation. So Prabhupada always comes back to the essence. Therefore, the solution is, as Maharaj was saying, as the all-encompassing statement that Srila Prabhupada gave, just become Krishna conscious, or conscious of Krishna. So in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the sages approach Lord Brahma, and they ask Lord Brahma, how is it possible that one can be free from the constant waves of the material energy which are constantly entering into the mind? And at the same time, the mind is always entering into different varieties of sense objects. So two things are going on. We see things around us, we experience things, and these objects come in the form of sight, sound, and various other sensual attacks, you might say. And at the same time, the mind is also directed in that way. Now, how is it possible to get free from that? And of course, the solution is become Krishna conscious. And then that was answered by Krishna, actually incarnated as the Hamsa avatar. He was a swan. He took the form of a swan in order to respond to the answer by giving that a swan actually takes the essence of Prabhupada talks about how a swan can have milk and water together and approach it. And because of the certain quality of the swan's ability to extract the milk from the water, it leaves the water and takes the essence. So in order to make a point, Krishna manifested himself as a swan, a transcendental person, or a person trying to reach transcendental, always looks for the essence of the nectar, which is Krishna consciousness.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay?
That's okay. That's more than okay.
And then we got more than a C plus, and when I went to school,
You got a C plus.
once.
Once.
B minus most. One time I got a B minus. That was it.
In the American school system, they mark you by letters. A, B, C, D, E. Not even E.
No,
A, B, C, D,
F.
F.
A means excellent, B means good, C means satisfactory, D means weak, and F means you're out.
Means start over. Which is basically what we're doing in material life. We keep flunking. You know the word flunk? When you can't move up to the next level of school, you have to stay back on the same level. In English, that's called flunking. You flunk. I flunked 3rd grade, for example. Actually, I flunked kindergarten. It's possible, yeah. No, anyway, it's a longer story. I've been trying to recover ever since.
We have some good, what they call it, people who can uproot that internal problem.
Thank you, yes. Some counseling.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Okay, we're in this sort of mood now. I think all that I would say more on this subject is read for yourself. It's in the book. And specifically what you may find helpful I know some of you really like to study. Consider that this question, verse 54, that Arjuna poses, is now being answered by Krishna in the rest of the chapter. But it even goes beyond that. Confirmed. Back in the 70s in America, there was some sort of, not Prabhupada, but some other Swami from India was preaching and was promoting what was called transcendental meditation. And devotees told Srila Prabhupada about this, and he said, "What is this transcendental meditation?" He said, "There's no question of transcendental meditation unless you're transcendental. First you have to be transcendental, then you can meditate." And then he quoted Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, verse 54. Brahmabhuta prasannatma na sochati na kankshati sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim lavate param. That is transcendental. So, but in this part of the Gita, Krishna is kind of summarizing the essential points about how to get to that point of Brahmabhuta, one who is prasannatma, who is really satisfied because of being on this level of Krishna consciousness, Brahmabhuta, in which there's no lamenting and there's no hankering. There's no, oh, if only I had done like this. Oh, I could have done that. I lost this, I lost that. Or I want this, I want that. The hankering side. Lamentation, hankering. Past, future. And then sama sarveshu bhuteshu. That's a tough one. It's a tough one. I mean, even those who are so similar to us in so many ways, some little difference, and we say, whoa, I have nothing to do with that person. Even Sigmund Freud said, he spoke of the narcissism of the slight difference. Yeah, we have so many similarities, but there's, oh, no, sorry, you failed the test. You are not in my book of good people. So that, but Krishna gives a very high bar for us to aim for. Sama sarveshu bhuteshu, being equal to all beings. Yeah, oh Krishna, I don't know how you're going to make it possible, but this is my prayer. Yeah, so maybe we just see if devotees have comments or questions about any of this. But I think you wanted to ask me a question? Maybe it should be the other way around. I should ask you a question.
Okay, you can have your turn.
Hare Krishna.
When you were making the distinction between the different words that have certain connotations within, how to use them in a certain context,
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking of the emphasis when you use the same word and how it has a different meaning. I was just thinking maybe you could say something about that. Because that changes the whole meaning when the emphasis is not there. Or when it should be there and it's not there, when it's there when it shouldn't be.
Oh, Hare Krishna. It's hard to talk about that without having an example. And
Okay, I'll give you an example.
oh, okay. Uh-oh.
Here's my father, Peter. Why call me yellow?
Oh.
If you say Peter, you're saying yellow. If you say Pita, you're saying father.
Oh, well, that's because the way Sanskrit is, these are two completely different words. Huh?
Not for most Americans.
No, there's a difference between a short A and a long A. That's all. They're different letters. They're transcribed. See, here's the problem. The problem is, you want to know what is the problem? Today we're going to get at the real problem. The problem is that we're taking a language which is typically written, I mean, it's come to be typically written in a script which is called Nagari or Devanagari. I won't go into that, but Sanskrit can be written in any language, which is in any script, as long as the script is a phonetic script. Phonetic means that you read the letters and you can tell from what you see how it will sound. And Sanskrit's really good in this regard. It's totally precise, unlike English, which is it's got all kinds of weird things about the sounds, because it's got French in it, and the French, hopeless case. Half their letters you don't even pronounce. You have to write all these letters, but they're silent. What's the point? They could say they're books, if they would take out the unnecessary letters, you'd have books half the size. Hare Krishna. Welcome to you who are just coming in. Welcome. Swagatam. Okay, so the point is that there's a difference between a language and a script. And so, for example, the word Bhagavan, we transcribe it in Roman or Latin letters, and the first letter in Sanskrit is Bha, which we transcribe as two letters, B-H. It's not two letters, it's one letter. And it has a pronunciation which is, for us familiar with Latin-based languages, yeah, it makes sense, Bha. So, short A and long A can make a world of difference in meaning. One example of this is very common, devotees will mispronounce. They'll say, Namabhasa. Namabhasa. It's not Namabhasa, it's Namabhasa. It's a long A, Abhasa. Because abhasa means semblance. It can mean reflection, sometimes shadow, but it's so the reflection of the name, nama, abhasa. So if you're saying nam abhasa, I don't know what that means. It means no name, no language, I don't know what abhasa means. But it's not the same. Or another one is, now you're going to really have to watch yourself, especially when you come to Zagreb, when you speak on Nama Abhasa. Otherwise, you're in big trouble. I tell you, Maharaj, you'll be in big trouble because now it's out. Everybody knows.
When I first came here, in the first initiation I did, they gave me a whole list of names I shouldn't give.
Yeah. That's another thing you got to watch out.
Watch out for Vrata.
Vrata, yeah. Doors. Don't name anybody door.
Kanta.
What? What was that?
Kanta. Bucket.
Kanta.
Bucket.
Uh-oh. Yeah, don't name anybody Kanta. Anyway, so, Pita. So that's, okay, you got a bit more Sanskrit grammar information today than you were expecting.
Sorry about that.
No, I'm sorry. So, now it's my turn for a question to you.
I might have to take the fifth in certain cases, but
My question is, how come you have so much energy for dancing in Kirtan? And how come your knees still work? Oh. Did anyone get a picture of that? It's on the internet. That could be a scandal, you know?
ISKCON already. So that's that question. And I think the answer is this is not to put you in a wrong position, but when you go back to God, you'll understand the answer.
Oh, thank you. He's already back to God. He's already there.
Where? Not sure where there is. I've been accused of being in a lot of places. That's not actually the place I should be in. Is the question still alive, or did we get through that yet?
No, you're still on the spot.
Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hari Hari.
There's an answer.
That's the answer. That's a very cryptic answer. Maybe we should see if anyone has a question or comment, anything about Arjuna's question, Krishna's answer, Bhagavad Gita more generally. I understand we have some guests who are here for the first time, so special welcome to you. We hope we haven't scared you away. We hope this won't be the last time. We hope you'll feel welcome to come. Again and again. Yes.
It's not directly connected to the verse, but it's like more with Sanskrit. So when we read the Bhagavatam and we read Bhagavad Gita, it's very obvious that Sanskrit is not same. So I guess there's some differences there, because especially this verse now reading. So does it seem that Srimad Bhagavatam in Sanskrit is more older than in Bhagavad Gita?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Whether the Sanskrit in the Bhagavad Gita, in the Bhagavatam is older than than the Sanskrit of the Bhagavad Gita. Well, a couple of things might be said. One is both of them are in what is now generally called classical Sanskrit, which means both are following quite strict grammatical rules that were established by a certain Panini, a certain person named Panini, which I've always thought must be an Italian opera singer. But no, it's a Sanskrit grammarian from ancient times. How ancient is sort of debated, but I think they generally say around 5th century before the Common Era. Now you're going to say, wait, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, they're much older than that. That's a whole nother discussion I better not get into, or I might not get invited back here. But if we consider the Leela, Mahabharata is being composed by Srila Vyasadeva before he composes the Bhagavatam, right? Because in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, chapters 4, 5, 6, we have the meeting of Vyasa with Narada. Vyasa has recognized that all that he has composed so far is not satisfying God. not satisfying the heart. And he suspects the reason is he hasn't fully glorified the Lord. Narada comes. Narada always comes just at the right time. And he says, you're right. You're right. You got it wrong. You should compose the Bhagavata, which Vyasa then does. He sits down and meditates. Bhakti yogena manasi samyak pranihite amale apashyat purusham purnam mayam chatarapashrayam. And he sees what is what. He sees the Lord, and he sees the Lord's illusory energy, and he sees the difference, and now he can compose the Bhagavatam. So from that perspective, we understand the Bhagavatam is later. The Bhagavad Gita is within the Mahabharata. Mahabharata, again, is earlier. Bhagavatam is later. So then it would be the opposite of what you're suggesting. But the Bhagavad Gita is in quite simple Sanskrit, for the most part. However, it also has a lot of interesting expressions which can be taken this way or that way, and which leads to all kinds of debates. And so, but it's most of it is in this simple verse form, anushtup, the 8 syllables. A lot of the Bhagavatam is also in anushtup, but the Bhagavatam has many other meters. The Bhagavad Gita has anushtup and trishtup. That's it. And the Bhagavatam has, if I remember right, altogether some 25 different meters. And some of them, plus it has some sections which are not meter, they're in prose. 5th canto has a lot of prose, 6th canto has some. And what else? Yeah, so a lot of the Bhagavatam is quite difficult Sanskrit. And another point is there are words and phrases in the Bhagavatam which are what the scholars call Vedic. They seem to be echoing the style of Sanskrit of the Rig Veda, which is going way, way back. Shishigornitai ki jai. So now that I got you more confused than you were before you asked your question, is that all right? Yeah.
There's different meters. Here.
Yeah, there are different meters. Mm-hmm. Some of them are very, very sweet. Tavakatam ritam tapta jivanam kavibiriditam kalmashapaham shravana mangalam srimadattatam bhuvigrinantiye buridajana. The Gopi Gita in the 10th canto. Hare Krishna. Comment?
I might confuse the whole thing if I say so.
That's all right. It's a good day for being confused.
So, when I've counted every verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam that is written according to the verses and the way they're metered in the book, and we get 14,096, not 18,000.
Right.
14,000, I think it's 096, maybe 1 or 2 off. So, but based on your answer, then it depends on how you count, how the meters are actually placed within the text.
Now we're getting into sticky territory.
I've always been looking for someone who could answer that one.
I was hoping you could answer it.
Well, there was one Sanskrit scholar in our movement in Gopi Parandana, and I wrote him and he said, I don't know.
Well, if he said, I don't know.
He said it in so many words, but the conclusion was he couldn't really explain.
Yeah. No, it's true. The Bhagavatam as we have it today, as we know it, is a little over 14,000 verses. But in the Garuda Purana, I believe it's the Garuda Purana, it says that the Bhagavatam has 18,000 verses. So one way to understand is that at the time of the composition of the Garuda Purana, there were 18,000 verses. And what we have now is 14. And then you wonder, where are those 4,000 verses? Who stole the 4,000 verses? We want those 4,000 verses now. Another way to understand, which is suggested by some, is that the number 18 is, there are certain numbers in Sanskrit, in Indian traditions, that are used without the intention of saying exactly this number, but with the intention of saying, yeah, it's kind of like 18. There's 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, there's 18 cantos of the Bhagavatam, not cantos, sorry, 18,000 verses. There are 18 parvans of the Mahabharata. It's a good number, so there must be 18,000 verses of Bhagavatam. The word shata, which means 100 in Sanskrit, can also mean many. And the word koti, which means 10 million, can mean a real lot, a whole lot. Yeah, just a whole lot. So I think whether it is 14,000 or 18,000 is not so much the issue. Huh? Because the issue is, what is the Bhagavatam? Krishna svadamo bhagate dharma jnana divisaha kalo nashtadrisham esha puranarko aruno udita, or with Sandhya, aruno udita. So the Bhagavatam is compared to the sun. It's the Purana Arka. It has come up like the sun, and it's come up just for us. And we can all benefit from its light. Because we're in the age of Kali, which is the time when drusha, this vision, sight, is nashta. It's finished. There's no vision. If there's vision, it's tunnel vision. You know this expression, tunnel vision? You have this also in, how do you say? One-way vision? How do you say in Hrvatsky? Tunnel vision?
We say as a horse.
Like a horse, yeah. Yeah. So, huh? Ogranicha, with limits, right? Yeah. There's another expression. Well, it has a different sense, but in Spanish, they say Quadrado. Quadrado. So this is the age of Quadrado thinking, or Ogranich. How do you say it? Limited thinking?
Ograničeno razmišljanje.
Ogranich.
Ograničeno razmišljanje.
Oh! Na Rose.
Razmišljanje.
Razmišljanje.
Yes.
Razmišljanje. It's a Hare Krishna. All right, we're having a good time today, aren't we? Anything else? What time? I guess it's time now, huh, for... Oh, the arti is going on. We've already been going overtime. So, should we call it a day? Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Chandramali Swami Maharaj ki jai. Anantagoti Vaishnavinda ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Gaur Premanandari. Hare Krishna.